1885. The Old West. A private parlor in a castle-style house. A conspiracy of Confederate revivalists convenes. The so-called King of the West is electrocuted. His throne, now an electric chair. The conspirators scatter. A Shan steps from the shadows to investigate. It is then the Shan is wounded by unlimited ammo curving in the air. The shootist? Quentin Turnbull. The weapon? 2 miraculous 6-shooters. Elsewhere, the manhunter falls from the saddle onto Apache land. With his metal mask removed, a doctor calls him Lobo. The doctor, Wise Owl, calls 7 sensational heroes for help. Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. Jonah Hex, Confederate Hunter. Marilyn Moonlight, Fist of Khonshu. Scalp Hunter, Bounty Killer. Red Wolf, Superhuman Tracker. El Diablo, Steampunk Robin Hood. And the Apache Kid, Kung Fu Mercenary. The 7 assemble around Lobo as Wise Owl informs them of Turnbull. Hex needs no persuasion. The Wild West warriors then uncover a conspiracy involving territorial rebellion, South American bankers, and Republican collaborators. They learn of global slave mining for Eternium, yucca, and nth metal. And they discovered off-the-map towns where children are raised as child soldiers, just like Hex. Their quest culminates in a high-noon showdown near the Mexican border. There, an automated factory manufactures flying warships, motorized armor, and automatic cannons. On each vehicle is emblazoned a hooked black cross. The 7 sneak into the factory and are ambushed, forced to shoot their way out. Incredibly, 3 armored vehicles roll over the guards. How? As his compatriots rig the factory to explode, Hex rides down Turnbull. With the hellishly hot sun spotlighting them, the 2 duel. Hex is shot in the face with zigzagging yucca metal bullets. Turnbull laughs and rides east. Arriving in New York City, Turnbull cowers before his benefactor. The benefactor muses on ghostly legionnaires, hypertime, and world wars yet to occur. And then executes his lackey in a luxurious electric chair. Turnbull was buried in an unmarked grave alongside his Eternium guns and yucca ammo. The Shan known as Lobo retired and became a dime novelist. In his twilight years, he claimed his startling stories were true. Only his cousin Orrin Evans believed him. 18,000 years ago, Lemuria. An Atlantean alchemist is dragged into the court of King Naga. The Serpentine monarch demands the alchemist forge an ultimate weapon, a crown, one worthy of a god-emperor. That alchemist, S.H.A.D.E, is wide-eyed with enthusiasm, anticipation, and ambition. The crown was carved from a meteorite of pure mysterium coated with pure X element. Naga desired to replace his creator god, Set. However, the serpent crown drove the king mad. The telepathic chaos resulted in the populace committing mass suicide in synchronicity with Naga. Those who survived attempted to destroy the crown to no avail. One cannot destroy imagination. The survivors, although few, experienced activation of dormant, mutant telepathy. This power attuned them to the crown, securing sanity. Afterward, the survivors migrated where no life form would survive to recover the crown. Antarctica. Astonishingly, the survivors discovered a nexus point to the pocket dimension of Skartaris. And S.H.A.D.E, he went with them. Turns out the survivors hated Naga more than they hated him.
You are alone. You notice a curious card. It is an old punch card. You can read the code punched into it. You are then led to a hard drive of dark web data. You access the drive as a door opens in synchronicity. You step onto a street, intersecting with streets, within a city where virtual reality is distinct. You are now ones and zeros. Your nerves are now circuits interlinked with circuits. Your computer, a city. You deny your residency. You deny that evolution is the natural order of things.
1939. Dark Willow, West Virginia. When last we left Orrin C. Evans, he was asking questions that could get him killed. Who was purchasing the Eternium mind at Dark Willow? How did the General divine his economic forecast? And were his cousin's dime stories true after all? Those questions were answered when a Walther PP pressed against his head. Hypertime 2.1941. In the old west town of Timely, Arizona, Orrin C. Evans convinces his cousin of his investigation. Afterward, Orrin, despite segregated transport, follows Turnbull to New York. He is not alone. Greg Sanders, a Wyoming vigilante, is also keen to track Turnbull. The duo witnesses Turnbull's burial. Intrigued, Sanders salvages the Eternium guns. Hypertime 2.1987. Fiu Island. Orrin and Vigilante evade zigzagging Yaka arrows fired by the Shark tribe. Fortunately, a member speaks English, Artemis Croc, the Green Arrow. Hypertime 2.1985. Stellar Studios. Sylvester Pemberton and Patrick Dugan are scamps in a Tinseltown wonderland. Sylvester apprentices under the best stuntmen. Patrick evolves props into usable gadgets. The friends discover the secret lair of S.H.A.D.E. There, Patrick decodes data on nth metal mines. Hypertime 2.2005. Britannia, Camelot. Armed with nth metal weapons, knights repel Morgan Le Fay's alliance with otherworldly Germans. But tragically, victory comes at a cost. The death of Arthur. Wielding Excalibur itself, a simple squire defends the fallen king. Grateful, Merlin rewards the squire with both Excalibur and her heart's desire. Hypertime 2.2000. New York City. Jill Carlisle successfully prosecutes the Octopus Gang for its role in police corruption. Upon entering her home, she collapses and cries bloody murder. A biblically minded woman, Jill styles herself as a new Crimson Avenger. It is then the Spectre appears, vowing that vengeance be not hers. She ignores the heavenly agent and is cursed with blind justice. Hypertime 2.1988. Nemo Pym discovers what his ancestor, Arthur Gordon Pym, could not: Atlantis. While exploring, his son, Adam, finds the Trident of Uvian. Enamored with sea life, the Trident endows Adam with undersea adaptability. But Nemo's expedition is meant not for archaeology, but for mining. Degaton appears and informs Nemo his silence will be guaranteed. Adam flees, changing his surname to Waterman. Hypertime 2.0. Dark Willow Airfield. Informer Elisa Sinclair holsters her Walther PP. She beckons Orrin to a hangar wherein a broker fleet is assembled. Per Degaton aims to mine creation metals to forge a Hypertime dynasty. Elisa reveals her cover as a social worker was meant to recruit children. But one night, while canvassing, she was attacked. Her saviors were 5 fearless newsboys. Orrin then hijacks a broker to recruit an army, the 7 Soldiers of Victory. 1941, NYC. Larry Scott was a foundling. Adopted by a philanthropic family, Larry wanted for nothing save for time. His pursuits of various and sundry hobbies always ate away his time. His father would tell him that although money permitted his many hobbies, no amount of money ever bought a second of time, especially with loved ones. When his father was framed by business partner Chips Brandt, Larry used skills and knowledge learned from his hobbies to uncover the conspiracy. However, the district attorney advocated for a quick execution for purposes of political messaging. After all, only the innocent are made examples, and never the guilty. By the time Larry obtained proof of his father's innocence, the switch had been thrown. No amount of money could have bought Larry Scott a second of time, especially with his father. Afterward, Larry began surveilling the powerful. He crafted listening devices, founded a messaging service, employed private investigators, and carefully timed his appearances in an elite's life. He gathered mountains of evidence, and when it was time, he disseminated it through his media empire and police contacts. Sometimes, he would just blackmail the elite, leaving his calling card on which it read, "Father Time." Eventually, Scott craved a more visceral satisfaction in exposing elite schemes, and so he donned a costume and executed those who evaded justice at an appointed hour. However, one elite, his former friend Hal Saxon, unleashed a mechanical murderer on Father Time, a modern marvel called Gonzo the Mechanical Bastard. Scott was executed for being a traitor to his class. His body was weighted down and dumped in the Hudson River. And then, a miraculous regeneration occurred. Larry lived again. But now he was smaller. Disoriented, he lurched his way home to encounter a mirror image that was not his own. He appeared as a child. Fearing he was either now mad, experiencing a nightmare, or jailed in hell, Larry defenestrated himself, only for the same phenomenon to occur twice. This time his reflection was that of an attractive woman. It was then he realized. He created a network, the Crazy Sues, and began to surveil elites around the globe. This time, though, things got weird. He learned the Ludlows had at one time sacrificed a London derelict to the dark multiverse and inadvertently created their greatest enemy. He encountered spiritualists whose cons were enabled by technology from Meta. He explored an island of evolved dinosaurs near a primal nexus point. He witnessed ghostly pilots haunt time itself. He discovered all that and much, much more. And so, Larry Scott made time for a new hobby, the supernatural. He founded S.H.A.D.E, the Superhuman Advanced Defense Executive. Every once in a while, Father Time would meet a gruesome and tragic end, only to regenerate into a random new body. And then one evening, at the stroke of midnight, he heard a tapping, as if someone were rapping on his office door. Opening the door was Orrin C. Evans, and so much more. The God Sphere, the never-ending now. He was the All-Sire. From Fantasia, he alone ruled the 7 realms. But who ruled the All-Sire? They were the Premials. The Premials were the endless before the endless. They were the never-ending. They were caretakers tasked to ensure cosmic consonance. They were the life entity, the oracle, the overseer, the great darkness between, illuminator of all realities, the chaos within and without, and all sorrows. And the All-Sire was their loyal agent. All was in perfect equilibrium. All was never-ending. And then pieces of Urgrund coalesced into 2 new realms. Equilibrium was lost. The All-Sire cried out in horror. The Premials enlightened him. Existence was a never-ending story of genesis, evolution, and extinction. The All-Sire then asked, "Am I obsolete?" The Premials were silent. And so began the First War. Elves politicked. Demons sent secret messages coded in rhyme. Gremlins sabotaged new mechanisms. Imps played tricks. But one realm refused commitment. Skyland. So capricious and Byzantine were the Skylanders. But the All-Sire was a crafty one. The dwarves discovered a rare creation metal, an X-element of pure congealed imagination. And so, in the subduction furnace of the Crunch, the dwarves forged a wave of pure annihilation. The Sheeda. The Premials were mauled, their nth metal blood drained, their Uru lungs slashed, their vibranium ears were severed, their Eternium eyes plucked, their X-element skin was flayed, their Yaka muscles chewed from adamantium bone, their Sentio Metallico nerves were stripped, their Mysterium brains were dashed, and their Argonite hearts were devoured. The All-Sire kept a trophy, the birthmark ripped from the entity's skin. The Sheeda then swarmed the new realms, but were repelled by the Skylanders. Odin, All-Father of Asgard, confronted the All-Sire. During their duel, Odin lost an eye, but Odin was a crafty god. Details of his victory are a mystery, even to me. What is known is that the All-Sire's elven loyalists were banished to Svartalfheim. The opportunistic Vanir were expelled from the Silver City. Muspelheim was reduced to a hellscape. Fantasia was rebuilt into Imaginaria. And of course, new beings emerged to ensure stability and dynamism. The Endless. And the birthmark ripped from the entity? Odin gifted it to blanket the newborn life itself. We know it, though, as the Star Brand. And the All-Sire, whoever he was, is now known as... Recently, Perdegaton unlocked an Eternium vault. Inside, pure annihilation. The Shi'ar were a heretical Phytheran priesthood. Founded by a Kemetite chantress, the priesthood worshipped Hathor. At some unknown point, the priesthood began worshipping the endless Nightwing and Phoenix. Ethnographers note the priesthood was exiled following an exodus caused by the Reach. The Shi'ar are at times described as either a warrior order or a mystery cult. Some Phytherans swear that the Chantress, Shi'ar is alive today. Others contend she was exiled to the null space of the dark multiverse. Mostly, the Phytherans are just grateful for a bunch of scary stories. Alana Jobson was a gladiatrix in Roulette's all-girl grapplers. Using her winnings, minus Roulette's cut, she won an auction for a deceased supervillain's identity, from which Roulette hoped to salvage her investment. It was then Roulette offered Alana a brilliant deal. How would she like to be a headliner in the new Meta Brawl Glamour Slam? The Glamazons would keep 100% of their winnings. It was during her first match she met avid risk-taker Janice Janicki. To pay her student loans, she turned to grappling, which pumped more adrenaline than stripping. Although billed as rivals, the two fell in love. But audiences do not bet on happily ever afters. The duo nearly died during a rigged match. Narrowly surviving, Jackpot and Joystick wanted Roulette to know that anyone can crush a body. Crushing a spirit is a true victory. James Beverly grew up poor, living from shelter to shelter in New York. His only escape was online news about superheroic daring-do. He ate as well as he could. He exercised. He read every DIY book on mechanics at his library. He excelled at school. And for his diligent pursuit, he received a brutally honest wake-up call from his mother. Superheroes are wealthy. His spirit crushed, his dreams broken, James resigned himself to poor people jobs. During an illness, teenage James entered a free clinic where clandestine medical trials were administered by Project Helix. When a blackout enveloped NYC, one shelter remained illuminated. James was now a human battery. Using his powers to charge and siphon electrical systems, he robbed stores until he could purchase a customized electric vehicle. Inspired by his favorite flick, Baby Driver, James became a wheelman who could outrange any police cruiser. A pickpocket parkour artist, Marcy Cooper monetized her exploits through social media. But clicks, views, and subs are fickle. So ever more dangerous daredevil stunts are necessary. So of course, she robbed Roulette. Jalamy Beecher was a chemical engineer whose firm, Beaumont Manufacturing, was ruined during the Apocalypse War. Since he was work for hire, he was denied IP ownership from the Corporate Society Act. So he joined the World Army, where he skimmed materials for his masterpiece, a frictionless coating. Extracting his tracking chip, Jalamy went AWOL to rob the powers that be. Learning of Roulette, he plotted to rob her auctions of the jackpots. Jonathan Owen was employed by Terrafitech until his quantum tunneler malfunctioned. Becoming a living wormhole, Owen no longer existed corporeally. So, of course, the DEO claimed custody of him. Escaping through a wormhole, Owen still required sustenance and housing. So, he swiped money and precious materials from Roulette's casino. Unfortunately for all 6 petty crooks, they decided to rob Roulette at the same time. Now on the run, the sextet pursues their ill-gotten goals on the street of NYC while evading the Spider Friends. And what will they call their new gang? How about the Sinister Syndicate? That name surely is spot on. The North Pole. 12,000 years ago, the Atlantean explorer, Tolan, discovered a portal at Earth's magnetic pole. Venturing, he discovered a spherical pocket dimension of eternal daylight. There, roamed evolved dinosaurs. He even met trolls, goblins, and elves, descended from convicts. Tolan even befriended the heroic dwarf, Mongo Ironhand. And then, Tolan found a second portal that led to the Earth's southern magnetic pole. There, he met fellow Atlantean explorer Nagorbu, who aimed to weaponize the poles. Dueling, the foes fell into Skartaris and to their deaths. Meanwhile, a global EMP initiated metagene mutations, disrupted magic, and displaced temporal perception. Such displacement enabled Atlantean sorcerer S.H.A.D.E to prophesize a great cataclysm. She believed the foresight to be a gift from her the god Valka. For stirring a panic, Emperor Camus exiled her across the Atlantic Ocean. Adrift, She'Red and her cult landed on the Thurian shore. There, her best pupil, Dakim, discovered an Eternium deposit to extend the cultists' lifespans. However, Hino, the Quantauka thunder god, evicted the cult to Catharta in the Dark Multiverse. There arose the hero, Korek. However, dissenters volunteered to sail elsewhere. Along the way, they joined a refugee fleet commanded by Ruggero. Discovering Skartaris, the Atlanteans elected Lord Norad as emperor. The Great Cataclysm prompted other species to settle Skartaris. Industry flourished, science was explored, technology evolved, all was copacetic. That was until the Atlantean city-states engaged in a civil war. The result was atomic fallout that mutated flora and fauna. 1975. Lieutenant Colonel Travis Morgan flew his spy plane through the Arctic portal into Skartaris. There, he braved eternal daylight, evolved dinosaurs, animal people, barbarians, and terrain that curved where the sky ought to rain. He battled Demos, befriended Man-Thing and Jennifer Kale, and uncovered lost Atlantean technology. 1989. Travis Morgan enjoys his life in a pacified Skartaris when he receives a visitor. A man named Wynn.